all of these measures are aimed at increasing disposable income, putting more money in the pockets of people, bolstering income for vulnerable groups, and of course, improving the system of services, the system of governance, and the provision of services for our country. These are the challenges that we confront, and the measures address these challenges. The measures target young people, women, children, pensioners, and I want to spend some time in demonstrating the net effect of these measures that will place more than $100 billion, that will make more than $100 billion in the costed and the measures that are not costed. In my estimation, approximately $100 billion will be plowed back, put back into the pockets of people, into the economy, that will stimulate spending, that would bolster income, and that would improve conditions of living, and of course, address issues of cost of living. If we take, for example, the measure that we continue to implement, that is containing the cost of fuel. One of the big issues the world is faced with today is how do we contain the cost of fuel? Because the cost of fuel affects the cost of energy. The cost of fuel dictates almost the cost of everything in our society. The cost of production for farmers, the cost of production for manufacturing, the cost of production for industries, and this also has an effect on the cost of the outcome, the final product to the people, the cost of goods and services, the cost of transportation. So it is imperative that we address this issue that is so uncertain globally. And you can hardly point to a single jurisdiction. Since we came into office, we have reduced the taxes on fuel at zero to zero. We have reduced the taxes on fuel to zero. Since we came into office, we have saved consumers $75 billion by this single measure. Today, I'm pleased that Budget 2024 will continue to keep the taxes on fuel at zero, so that $40 billion of taxes that should have been collected will now be placed back into the pockets of people and into the economy. So this measure would save our people, our country, the ordinary man, the industries, the private sector, $40 billion. So that's the first measure, containing the cost of fuel, which is an important issue many countries have grappled with. We are keeping the taxes to zero there, ensuring that $40 billion that would have otherwise been charged to the end consumer is now being consumed by the government in absorbing this cost. The second issue has to do with the cost of freight. As you would recall, when we came into office in the pre-pandemic period, the cost of freight went up by 1,000% in some cases. So we implemented a measure for the purpose of calculating the import taxes. And in order to combat the increase in shipping costs, which was passed on to the consumer, we wanted to ensure that we implement a measure that would avoid that increase in shipping costs that was 1,000% to be passed on to the consumer. Initially, this measure of calculating the taxes was implemented for a period of 6 months, from August 1st, 2021 to January 2022. We subsequently extended that to the end of 2023. I am pleased to say that in budget 2024, we will be extending this once more, and that is because we recognize the difficulties shippers are having in the Panama Canal and the pileup of cargo in the Panama Canal, which is now driving up the cost of shipping because there is transshipment that is required. So we are extending this policy for another year, all of 2024. This will save our consumers $6 billion. $6 billion of costs that would have been passed on to the consumer. The government will be consuming or giving up this $6 billion in revenue so that our consumers will not have to carry the burden of the increase in costs as a result of the increases in shipping costs.